thank you for joining us today. I think the best thing to say now is for you, probably because it's lunchtime, think of this session as a huge, delicious meal and indulge. My name is Osama Ali, and I am the Programs and Accreditations Director at ADGM Academy, and I'll be moderating today's panel discussion titled Bridging the Gap Between Market Needs and the Workforce Skills. The challenge in aligning workforce skills with the market needs has never been more pressing. In fact, as industries change and economies evolve, it is evident that for businesses and educational institutions, as well as governments, we all have to come together to ensure that the workforce is ready to meet those market needs. Today, we are joined by an outstanding group of experts from various sectors who will be bringing their ideas and expertise to life. So let me introduce Dana Day, Managing Director of the CFA Institute, with vast experience in finance and investment sector. Dr. Ahmed Al-Shaibi, Executive Director of the Higher Education Sector at ADEC, driving the alignment of higher education with market needs. Stan Moss, CEO of Polling Capital, a leader in investment management, focused on identifying and developing talent. Last but not least, Sumaya Al-Hosani, Vice President of Strategy and Future at the Higher Colleges of Technology, who's shaping strategic initiatives within the education sector. Our conversation today will explore how these sectors, businesses, education institutions, and governments will work together to align and to ensure that the workforce is ready for tomorrow. So with that, let's begin. We'll start with you, Dana. So, as the Managing Director of the CFA Institute, you've been at the forefront of shaping professional standards in the finance sector. The question is, how can education institutions and training providers equip professionals for the future challenges of the industry?
Thanks, Osama. It's an honor and a privilege to be here and to see some friendly, familiar faces, so thank you. I think when you think about shaping talent for the future, you really have to do that from the inside of the industry. You have to understand the industry from the inside out, meaning you have to be a part of it. And so CFA Institute uniquely sits at the nexus of industry practitioners and education and learning. And I think when we walk around the world, we talk to all kinds of organizations around the world, and we really see the need for talent in 5 key places. So if I'm a person standing in this room today or thinking about my future in this industry, whether I'm skilling or upskilling, 5 key spots. First, private markets. You cannot escape a conversation today without thinking about what's happening with asset flows in private markets. If I'm skilling myself, that's where I'm focused. Private wealth. Look at demographics around the world and look at how they're changing. Anticipating that's a space where we need to skill. Sustainability. Goes without saying, climate change is real, and we have to prepare ourselves now for the challenges of the future, whether that's from a risk or evaluation perspective. Fourth one is technology and AI. Again, you can't escape a conversation today without thinking about the impact of AI on the investment industry. And finally, underpinning it all, ethics and integrity. We cannot create a financial services industry that our clients can trust unless we have ethics and integrity, and that is a place that we need to demonstrate knowledge and skill.
Excellent. Thank you, Dana. Now, I think what I would like to do is link that to what Stan would have to say, considering you're from the CFA Institute, you're from the investment and finance sector. So Stan, you lead Polling Capital, a prominent investment management firm. How do you ensure that your team remains equipped with the necessary skills to thrive in a fast-evolving industry?
Yes, thank you. One of the things I like to think about at Poland Capital is reflecting on my own experience entering the industry. I hold a CFA charter, I have an MBA, I have a master's in global finance, and then when I entered the industry, I was very technically trained, but I would say my EQ skills had not been trained. And over the years, I worked diligently and very hard to develop more of my EQ skills, and then was very fortunate to have the opportunity to become the leader of Poland Capital. I said, people who are joining our firm, they're technically competent, high on the IQ spectrum. Let's work on EQ from a talent and development perspective. So some of the things that we do are not unlike what we heard in the previous session. We'll have each person take a personality test, and they'll come out with 9 different personality types. And then you can learn more about your own personality type, learn about others' personality type, and then how you should best communicate with those personality types. And where it really comes into play is around feedback. Because feedback, 1, is very difficult to give to another human being. 2, if you're the human being, how do you receive that feedback, and then what do you do with that feedback, and then how do you react when you receive it? Because if you're a poor receiver of feedback, you're likely not to get much of it because the person, it's hard to give the feedback. If you're a bad receiver of it, they're not going to give you much more. So we work to train our people and practice on these techniques. There's a book called Radical Candor, which we've had speakers come in and trainers come in to train us on how best to give feedback and how best to receive feedback. In addition to that, we work, in particular this year, we've actually had a series around teamwork and different elements of teamwork. So first of all, what does it mean to be a great teammate? How do you treat your other people on your team? Okay? Then, what does it mean to be on a great team itself? How do you operate effectively as a teammate on a team to achieve what the team's trying to accomplish? And then with any organization, there's teams all around the organization. So how does each team interact with other teams? And to achieve an objective or an outcome for a client, the community, or the firm itself. So if you put training in place and you have intention around that training, good things happen with your people, and you also tend to have people who stick with you for a very long time.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Stan, for that elaborate answer. Let's move to the regulators. Dr. Ahmed Al-Shaibi, as the Executive Director of the Higher Education Sector at ADEC, I'd like to know how you collaborate with higher education institutes to implement innovative learning approaches and priorities for the 21st century skills.
Thank you, Sama. So I think as a regulator, we play 2 roles, right? So we're a regulator / partner. I'll talk about the regulator part first and then the partner. Because we work with industry in 2 different ways to achieve 2 different things. As a regulator, obviously, any new institution or even an existing institution that wants to open up a new program within the Emirate of Abu Dhabi or even make substantive changes to an existing program, they'll have to come to us first, and we have, I won't bore you with the details, but there's a list of standards that they have to achieve to be able to either introduce a new program or make substantive changes to an existing program. A key thing about those standards is how that program, whether new or modified, aligns with the industry needs. That is a key thing, and the first thing we ask of any higher education institution entering the market or introducing new programs is, have you done a feasibility analysis, stakeholder analysis, where you know the type of graduate that you'll be putting out in the market, where will they end up? And if they don't have enough data to support that, obviously we tell them, go back to the drawing board and come back to us. That's the regulator aspect. Now the partner aspect, which is, within any regulator, you set minimum and maximum for any standards, right? And you tell the operators, you can work within this range. So now the partner hat. If I want to move one of the institutions to be closer to one end or the other within that range, I can't do it as a regulator, I'll do it as a partner. to create win-win situations with institutions so that they see value in, well, maybe we should be on the higher end of this KPI or on the lower end of that KPI. I'll give two specific examples here. So for example, when we helped launch the Indian Institute of Technology, a high-end, probably the premier STEM university in India, they just launched a campus here in Abu Dhabi, and we were involved with that. ADNOC at the time, year of sustainability, a lot of focus on energy transition. They were looking for very, very specific programs. We brought ADNOC, we brought IIT, and they co-created a program which is very specific to energy transition and sustainability. And the outcome is now we have something like 12 sponsored students from ADNOC in that program. These are not fresh graduates. These are people who were in the industry, immersed, and have a minimum of 5 years of experience, now being freed up from their roles to be upskilled, and hopefully then go back, use that knowledge in their program. Another partnership model I'll mention, just to give you the kind of partnerships we have. Many of you in the audience are probably parents, and what's going to happen in a week's time? Holidays of school. So we realize that there's a gap where students during the students in schools have a 3-week holiday, and there's so much to learn out there. So we went to higher education institutions and told them, okay, can we work together? We know AI is a big deal now. So we've partnered with 6 higher education institutions, which will be offering AI-related boot camps during the summer for any high school student within the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. The announcement went out yesterday. If you're interested, just go to the ADIC Social and apply. These are different ways where we're telling the institutions, universities, there's a need, and you might actually benefit from addressing that need.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. That's very encouraging. Sumaya, I kept you waiting. So I think this links really nicely to what HCT does. So you play a key role across the country, really, in shaping educational programs for preparing students for the workforce. So how do you ensure that the curriculum and academic and vocational offerings at HCT align with the evolving needs of the job market?
Thank you, Osama, for that question. And maybe to add to Dr. Ahmed on what we are doing here in HCT, and takes you back a couple of years ago when we started our transformation into applied education model across HCT, and we had a close look and examination of our current programs, of our current educational approach from very holistic view. So there has been different aspects that we looked at. First, there is the need to make sure that we have diversified educational pathways that includes bachelor degrees that could land into jobs to high-skilled bachelor degrees for graduates that could land them jobs with high skills requirements. There is the diploma that will link them to a medium skills jobs. So that was the first transformation that has happened. The area or the challenge was how to bridge the students from the high school journey to a higher education journey and then put them back or integrate them to the workforce. The second thing we did a complete review of our programs. We looked at the market needs in the private sector in the UAE, and the main source was from the Ministry of Human Resources, where we looked at the market needs, what are the job occupations targeted on the whole national level, as well as at each emirate level, since we are distributed across the whole country. And addition to that, the future trends, what are the new skills that is required. So that all helped us into shaping our new programs. Some programs were phased out, some programs were introduced. For example, we introduced 12 new diplomas last year, and we stopped the Bachelor for Applied Media and then reintroduced it this academic year to be a Bachelor of Digital Marketing as well as the Bachelor of the Media Production. This is one pillar of or a second pillar of our transformation. The third pillar was to adapt fully the competency-based education model. We needed to make sure that competencies are embedded within our curriculum, whether our needed, what are the skills required in the job market. So we looked at those job occupation profiles, what are the skills, and then embedded within our curriculum. And the main target is to ensure we have high graduate employment rate on the long run based on the best practices and benchmark that was done with the international applied education to reach 90%. For the last academic year graduates, we reached 66% as of today. And the previous cohort, we reached to 85%. So we are very much forward into achieving our targets.
Great. So I'm just going to stick with you for a bit now with regards to specifically how you integrate feedback from employers to ensure that it aligns the curriculum for you.
So part of our transformation also is to support the Emiratization NAFIS initiative. So we mainly focus on the private sector. So we embedded our collaboration methods and our collaboration and integration with the private sector within the whole ecosystem or cycle that starts with the identification, and then it starts with the co-design of our curriculum with the partners, either on strategic level if they have specific needs, specific programs that they would like to have it within HCT, or through the Industry Advisory Council. So for each program, we have that council where it has representatives from different parties, from different stakeholders, and they give feedback on any programs that we are reviewing. They review the outcome at the end of each semester and to continuously enhance the programs. The third one is the co-delivery. So the co-delivery, it takes different items. First, we introduced the apprenticeship model. And last year, we were in the pilot phase with the Ministry of Human Resources and Ministry of Education, where HCT was the biggest contributor to that pilot phase. We have more than 6,000 students joined the apprenticeship program. And that gave our students a chance to immerse within a real work-life experience and also to get the feedback from our industry. The second part is to ensure that we attract faculty from industrial background, not only a pure academic. No, we want to make sure that they have hands-on experience, they have an understanding of the context of the workplaces and so on. The third part also is that now we are launching the sabbatical program for our faculty, where they can go every year for a month, 3 to 4 weeks, and join a company, any company, either nationally or internationally, to gain that experience.
Excellent.
So that helps us to better shape our programs and better shape our offerings for our students. We want to make sure that the student experience that they have is very much mimicking the actual work experience.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sumaya. In fact, this leads me nicely to Dr. Ahmed from ADEC's perspective. If you can just comment briefly on the apprenticeships and internships and their role in bridging this divide between employment and education.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to commend HCT for what they were doing with the apprenticeship. So, I mean, if we take a step back and look at the learning methodologies, work-integrated learning and experiential learning is a big deal. It's the only way for the future. Having walls or separators between industry and higher education institutions is not useful, right? We want to immerse students in real-life situations, and that can only be done through work-integrated learning and experiential learning. Now, that can take so many different formats, right? That could be apprenticeship, and that was one extreme, but that could be through mentoring, that could be through capstone projects, that could be through field trips. There's so many different ways where we blur the line of bringing education to industry and bringing industry to the classroom, right? And I think that should be a two-way street. It's not just disrupting how education is being handled, but also how industry is reacting and how they're contributing to universities. My colleague here mentioned a few examples from HCT, but there are so many different examples happening across the board in universities within Abu Dhabi. I'll mention one thing that we did recently, where we had a forum, higher education forum with representation from every single university within the Emirate. And we brought in experts. And one such session that was so well received was for example, from the University of Waterloo, where there they have a co-op program where it's like one semester in the university and the following semester in the industry and so on till they graduate. So by the time a typical student graduates, they have 6 internships under their belt. And they have one of the highest employment rates upon graduation anywhere in North America. So there are plenty of models. We just need to find what works best for us and for our programs and for the local ecosystem.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. With regard to the sort of the same area, but probably more into the business side, Stan, how do you see the role of cross-disciplinary skills shaping the workforce today?
Yes, and I'll be mindful of time here. One of the mega trends that's out there is actually the pace of change and the pace of disruption. So the Accenture Global Disruption Index has increased by 200% over the last 5 years. So change is going to be a constant in our lives. So how do you remain agile and versatile? We say at Poland Capital, if you're not agile, you're actually fragile.
That's absolutely true.
So when you think about it, you have to have your technical level of competence, but then you layer on top of that base emotional intelligence plus artificial intelligence, I believe equals transformational intelligence, and that's what you're going to need to be able to handle the transformation that's coming to the industry and the world.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Stan. That brings us to our last question, conscious of time as well. Back to you, Dana. And what I would really like you to do is just to highlight some of the partnerships that you've made with education institutions and the likes for this particular topic to bridge that gap.
Thanks, Osama. I'll save the best to last. 3 quick examples for you. I sit in rooms like this all around the world. We work with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. They are putting people through sustainability programs because it's a priority. They fund those programs. That is top priority for them, and we work with them to do that.
Excellent.
We work with the World Bank to put people through our programs, CFA program in particular, in Rwanda, who's looking to develop and build capacity in their financial services industry. And most important today, we have a fantastic partnership with ADGM Academy. We are launching a platform where members of the globally minded and locally present ADGM Academy community can have access to CFA Institute learning through a partnership that we've launched.
Can we hear a round of applause for that? Excellent.
And there's one more piece. We have scholarships available for CFA program through this program and this portal. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dana. In fact, there will be a QR code ready for you to scan and express your interest in those CFA scholarships. With that, I'd like to thank my dear panelists for sharing their insights and expertise. Dana Day, Dr. Ahmed Al-Shaibi, Stan Moss, and Sumaya Al-Hosseini. It is evident that bridging the gap between market needs and the workforce skills requires the collaboration of all of these industries together. And as we move forward, this open dialogue has to continue for us to ensure that the workforce is ready for future. Thank you very much.